replugged.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mine will do that sometimes. I can also, if I turn it off from the back and turn it back on, it reconnects too. Oh, they have officially unveiled the new album cover for the next Steve Taylor record. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all of them sitting on what is basically what looks like a white box because it's kind of it's overly bright. Like the aperture is really wide open, so you can't see much. But then there's a moose head and a bear head mounted on the wall behind them, and they're all sitting in suits.
Nice.
And the album's called Goliath, which is kind of interesting.
I was trying to say this before, and my computer so rudely cut me off.
Okay, yes, go for it.
Tom will be very happy to know that his review for War of Ages is 2 downloads more than our last week's episode.
Wow.
Which actually, currently, only has 28 downloads. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's like we've had some kind of a drop-off in listenership. We must have offended some people.
I don't know. Does that mean we're doing something right or something wrong?
Well, I mean, it's weird. So there are some episodes where we get like 60 or close to it. You know, like support your local band. We got 68 downloads. But then episodes 79 and 80 are at 32 and 28. So I don't know if it's just that people, aren't listening as regularly as they were. Because, I mean, every other episode is like 50, 60, 70. And then there's the Showtime one that's like 120 people or something like that. 120 downloads. 129. So I don't know. It's weird. I don't understand the thing. The thing on the thing.
Yeah.
Is what I'm not understanding.
I don't know.
Let me see. Did you see the new review I posted? Sent you a picture of?
Talking to me?
Yeah, you. I sent you a picture of a new review.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay,
sure.
good. Well, I would hope so. Because otherwise, otherwise, I shall be very put out.
Yes.
All right, I'm trying to get. Is there a stew? I'm about.
Yes,
to
there
look.
is.
Okay, good.
Oh, and by the way, let's try and wrap up like 10:30, 10:45-ish because my in-laws are in town and I think we're going to leave to do something.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. Totally fine.
Which means we'll have to run through the news kind of quickly because there's a lot of it, but
yeah,
we just can't dwell on any one thing for very long.
Well, if it ends up being a newsy episode, then that's just the way that it is, too. We can skip over the
main topic.
The main...
Save it for next time.
Yep. Well, yeah. So, that's what I was saying. So, if you want to, connect with Tim or Tom or something like that for next week and do an episode without me, that's fine. And then just send me the audio and I'll upload it.
Okay.
I'll leave that totally up to you. But I'm flat not available, which means there'd be no live stream, which is fine. We can live without that. But yeah, if you want to do something with Tim or Tom or Kirk even, I don't care. You're welcome to do whatever.
I am accepting all monetary donation offers to be co-host for a day for the Rock and a Hard Place podcast. No offer is too big. Any donation below $20, however, will be strongly frowned upon. Do not be surprised if I take your money and then you still end up being just in the chat room.
Kirk says he has a penny.
But is it shiny?
A penny for your thoughts?
Well, actually, the way that would work is a penny for my thoughts.
Right. Come on. Open.
course, if that was written now, I'd be like, oh, YOLO.
Yeah.
You only live once. Oh, no.
I still get that song stuck in my head from the old Hobbit cartoon where they're in Mordor and they're in the line as they're trying to sneak the ring into the mountain, and you hear all the orcs are singing, "Where there's a whip, there's a way." Get that stupid song stuck in my head all the time. It's like, no,
I've forgotten about that one.
no. Yeah.
That's fun. Oh, that's amusing. Cool. Well, did you get up the news thing, or I mean, I guess I could just run through it from my end if you want.
No, it's fine. I'll bring it up. I'm trying to get the stew ready to go, and then I got to turn on I got to make sure I send the signal to the right place from the thingy-mabobber dealy whopper.
Technical term.
Okay, why is this not playing?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, sorry. Did that hurt you?
My ear is bleeding now. Did you say something? I can't hear you anymore.
Oh, seriously. What in the world is going on? Oh, because it changed to built-in output.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Evidently not.
Did you hear that?
Speaking, yeah, I did.
Okay,
Speaking of
good.
which, I need to do a little check for mine. Hang on a second.
I know.
Did I make a stinky?
Okay, good. Okay.
All right, so I've got that. Let me bring up my DAW. Rock in a Hard Place podcast. Hey, Chris, if you wanted to package a 30 spot for the podcast, I'd totally play it in my show. Oh. Thanks, Tom. I think I can do that.
You know what we should do?
Chris Cooner here to talk to you about the Rock in a Hard Place podcast.
Hey, Chris, you know what we should do?
What? What should we do? What?
You should definitely throw one together, but then we should do a second one, like not next week because you won't be here because you're a poser, but the week after that, like when we're doing all our prelim stuff, we ought to just do like a quick little banter one back and forth, and then you could slap it together, and it could be like a good representation of what the podcast sounds like.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that's a good idea. I like the cut of your jib.
Your jib is like the jib of a clipper ship, sleek and sexy.
This is a Christian podcast. You can't say sexy.
Cutting through the water with such finesse.
Like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah. Or like my buoy through your face. That's right. I'm talking about my knife. I'm not talking about a maritime buoy. That would be disgusting.
Oh, your buoy knife. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I...
Yeah. See, I'm from Texas. This is just understood. Whenever you say a buoy, we're not talking about that thing in the water, about a big knife.
Oh, my.
Because we grew up learning about the Alamo. That is a grade school must, is you must know everything about the Alamo. You do not pass if you do not know the Alamo.
Gotcha. All right. So we, let's see. I've got this.
And if you
here.
want pie,
What? You just went away. I can't hear you now. You froze, Paul. I can't hear you.
Still?
Okay, I can hear you, but
now?
your picture's really bad all of a sudden. It's like your internet.
Oh,
crapped
yeah,
out.
Skype. Yeah, Skype is telling me, oh, yes, by the way, it kind of stinks now. Yeah.
It looks
You know what
so
that probably
good for so
means?
long.
That probably means my wife is finally up and they're watching something on Netflix downstairs. Is probably what that
Can
means.
you ask them not to watch something on Netflix till we're done with the podcast? Because we're not going to be able to
I
record.
could. You
We're
want
not-
my marriage to last?
We're not going to be able to record like this, though.
Oh, that is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, you're dropping constantly.
Yes, you haven't went. Ew. Oh,
Well, guys, we may not end up having a show today. Things are really bad right now, so we'll have to see what happens. Hello, Alyssa. Welcome to the podcast. We may have a show, but it may not include Paul. Or we may have a show, but Paul may be filling out divorce papers. No, I'm kidding.
all right.
Did you
Oh,
lay
much
the
better.
hammer down?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it Netflix?
Fine. Yes, she had it just on pause.
Oh, you're still choppy. Hopefully you'll
dang
recover.
it. Well, it says I'm getting good signal. It says it should be call quality good. It's got 4 out of 5.
Well, you sound okay right now. Just as you were sitting down, it was
Okay.
kind of bouncing a little bit. So, well, we should probably knock this out that way. Let's see. I'm a potty, but I've never been on here before. Very different. Yes, it is very different because you have to look at us. That's a whole nother level. Whole other level. But we're glad you're here. So hopefully you can.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Well,
you
here.
can contribute to the
I'll
show.
try and help you retain some idea that we're cool. There we go. Isn't that better?
Tom says, Alyssa, just to catch you up to speed, this is the greatest podcast known to man, or at least this man.
Yes. See,
Maybe we should
Tom-
do a new show called Man versus Podcast.
There we go. There we go.
Tom,
Now, see-
there you go. That's your show, buddy.
Yes. See, now here's what it is though. I think that Tom is trying to kiss up to be my co-host next week because he just sent me the new Remedy Drive without me specifically asking him for it. And now he's like, this is the greatest podcast ever.
That's
you
right.
should totally enjoy this.
Butter him up. Butter him up. That's it. Okay, so I've got the stew. I've got Tom's review. I got everything going. I got my DAW ready. We should probably knock this out
Yes, please.
because we're dragging.
Yes. Ballsy.
Yeah.
Which sounds wrong
Nice.
when you say it by itself.
There's a
Especially
lady.
slowly.
There's a lady in the chat, Paul. Be careful now. No more crude guy jokes. All right, so
Yes.
bring up your DAW and we'll get ready to hit record in 3, 2, 1. Man, I just love that song. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rock in a Hard Place podcast. My name is Chris Cooner. I am a DJ with Broken FM. You can check us out online at broken.fm. That music you just heard was provided so kindly to us from the band Scientist. Be sure to check them out. I believe their Twitter is at Scientist Music. So be sure to check them out and take a listen to it. Joining me as always, my good buddy, my number one, which is better than being a number two, Paul Gibson.
See, I thought you were about to say that I was your number 1, number 2. And then I was like, oh, okay, good. He didn't go there. This is a plus.
That's
I like
right.
it.
That's right.
So many ways that you could take that.
Yes,
So, yes,
yes.
I am Paul Gibson, and I host the Christian Rock 20 Countdown, the Christian Music Archive, co-host this, and now, fun announcement that I haven't made anywhere. I am the new 11 to 1 o'clock host on Radio Free Florence. Woo! whoop, whoop.
Congratulations, dude. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So you get to hear me talk to myself in my studio and then send it to them, and then they play it, and it sounds like I'm there. It's pretty magical.
It's nice. Now, I know that, what was I going to say? That Tyler Edwards is a big part of Radio Free Florence. He also happens to be... Oh,
We can talk about that in the news section if you want to, but yeah, I have a change on that.
Okay, well, so he was at one point.
Right.
But they just recently, they were internet only for a long time, and they just recently ended up getting licensing to be able to broadcast in their area. So very, very exciting times for them in that regard. And so, Paul, we're super stoked that you're able to be on the air, and that's awesome.
That's right. That's right. And if other stations, Tom, would like to utilize services as such, then they should contact me.
You are not Canadian enough to be on Tom's radio station, unfortunately.
Yes, but I would be exotic.
See, Tim was born in Canada, so Tim could actually get away with it probably.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, for some reason, I think you're not quite.
I could hear my first break. Hey, what's up, hosers? Hey, you want some milk in a bag?
Oh man, we had a chance to interview Manifest for the Broken Record this last week, and before we started the interview, we had reminded him that the last time that he was on, he actually described to us how to do milk in a bag, and he said, it's funny because he lives down in Southern California now.
Right.
And he has for like the last 3 years. So whenever he goes home, he's like, oh, right, a bag of milk.
Right.
Kind of forgot about that. I'm like, how do you forget about one of the coolest inventions that's never appeared in the U.S.?
Right.
So,
this is true.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So we've got some news to cover, and we're going to have to blow through this stuff really quickly because it's going to be probably a short show this week. But here we go. The Violet Burning Story of Our Lives is now free for a limited time.
Yeah, and you should totally grab that. Great album. And if it's a triple record, so it's like 20-something songs, and it's really good. It's got a big diversity. Goes everywhere from like atmospheric to almost like Morrissey-esque goth-inspired music to very Smashing Pumpkins-esque grunge, and it's just really, really good and totally worth going to grab it from the band's website. So if you want to do that, it is thevioletburning.com. Now, once again, that's violet, not violent.
Yeah,
so,
you said violent just a second ago,
did.
So it's violet as in the color.
Yes.
The color purple with Whoopi Goldberg. No. Wait. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little sidetracked. Okay, real quick. Alyssa asked, how does milk in a bag work? So I'm going to go through this real quick.
Okay.
And Tom, of course, you can correct me whatever mistakes I made. But my information comes from Chris, who is Manifest. So, Alyssa, you go to the store, you buy it in a bag. I think he said it comes in like a 3-pack. And then you take it home, and when you're ready to use it, you have this pitcher. And you take the bag and you cut the corner of the bag off and slide it down into the pitcher and then put the lid on the pitcher. And then you have your milk and you pour it. There you go.
That's way complicated.
It sounds way more complicated. I'd rather just unscrew the plastic cap and glug, glug, glug into my cup. But that's just me.
You use a cup?
I'm married with small children. You think you think my wife wants them to see me drink?
Well, that's the reason why you don't let them see you.
Oh, Tom says the lid is optional.
Yes.
So there you go. Oh man.
Well, I'm glad he corrected us on that. We
Yeah,
were egregiously off.
Could have been really bad there for a minute. All the Canadians are coming down to California to crucify me for misspeaking on how to use milk in a bag. And yes, Alyssa, it does seem like extra work. I agree with you. However, I would love to be able to buy milk in a bag just one time to say that I did it.
Now, you know what's funny about that analogy or that illustration that you gave about what would happen for you doing that?
Yeah.
Try to imagine a mob of angry Canadians.
The only thing I can think of is the whole time that they're trying to pin me on this cross, they'd be apologizing for it.
I'm sorry, eh?
That's right.
You just got the milk in the wrong bag, eh? I mean, you can't do it. You can't do it right, eh? I mean,
That's right.
seriously. We don't want to do this, but you got it so wrong.
Okay, so you sound like a Mexican Canadian.
I know. It's terrible, isn't it?
My goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Bringing the borders together.
It's like America just got squished right out of the middle. Mexico came up to the bottom of Canada.
Well, depending on who you ask, that's exactly what's going on. We got to keep the people south of the border out, and then there's those Canadians. We really know they want to take over.
Oh my goodness, that's insane, dude. I think we broke Tom because he's not typing anything in the chat room. I think something's not quite working well for him. I'm not sure what's going on.
He's either loading his gun or trying to catch his breath.
He says, number one, don't sound like that.
I know, Tom.
Oh my, that's
pretty
funny.
much the only time especially in your reviews, the only times I've ever really noticed that you even sound Canadian at all is when you say a boot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's usually the only thing. So
Yeah.
no, kudos on you, man. You don't sound what people think of as stereotypically Canadian at all, which
Yeah.
hopefully I don't sound stereotypically Texan. So
Although-
we both have our cross to bear.
when Tom joined me on the show before we started like the actual show, he starts talking to me in French. I'm like, oh, typical Canadian, multilingual, and all of that good stuff.
We're too good for that. It's like if you come here, you got to speak English.
No,
Why?
I just
We're
told
too
him.
good for that.
I just told him, I'm a bilingual illiterate. I can't read in two different languages.
Right.
So, all right. We as Human has begun a Kickstarter campaign to get a new van. They're looking to raise about 20 grand and are just over the 12K mark at this point. So, if you can help them out, you can check them. You can check out their Kickstarter and maybe donate a little green. But I think that whatever area donates them the most money, they should have to go to that area and put on a free concert.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Yeah, they still have 27 days to go, and they've already gone up to 14.8. So they're getting a good
So
ways
getting
there.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal. Let's see. The band Citizens has changed their name to Citizens and Saints.
Yeah, it turns out there was a British band that was also called Citizens that was like a British punk band.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and then they're going to do a new album on the 28th of October called Join the Triumph. And their lead singer, now this I didn't really get much context on, but one of the other news sites that I was reading about this said that their lead singer is no longer on staff at Mars Hill Church. And it sounds like they're taking the band to more of a full-time venture because they're trying to book tour dates now.
Right. So Mars Hill has actually been going through some difficulties. They've had some of their senior guys that have kind of gone off the rails theologically, and so there's a bit of a split going on with Mars Hill. And I mean, it's not the kind of thing you want to see in any church whatsoever, but it's unfortunately common in churches that grow too large too fast.
Yeah.
And so I kind of think
that probably has something to do with it.
I kind of think that had something to do with it. When you grow too big too fast, I feel, this is all my conjecture, understand, okay? These are my interpretations of what I've seen, all right? When you grow too big too fast, you begin to take it as it being more about you and not about God. And that's when you get into this dangerous place of, causing potential problems because you feel that you're more important than you really are when everything needs to be about God and Jesus. That's kind of the whole, that's where the whole focus needs to be. When the focus comes off of that and you begin to feel that you're more important than you really are, that's when a lot of these things, you begin to interpret things in your own way, feeling that you've got all this great knowledge and everything like that. And that's when the danger can set in. I'm not saying that's exactly what's happened with Mars Hill. I'm saying I've seen other churches come to this same area because of similar things.
Right.
And I do know that a few of the leaders in Mars Hill have had some difficulties with claiming certain doctrinal things that the rest of the church is not abiding with.
Right, and also a lot of bad knee-jerk press reaction to that, which
Yes.
on some of the things I totally understand why there's bad knee-jerk reaction to it, because you're like, dude, you need to shut up.
Right, totally.
It's like, even if you really think that, you should really shut up.
So we pray for Mars Hill. We pray for all the people that are involved up there, that that everybody's able to get everything corrected, and that maybe the church is able to come back together at some point. I certainly don't wish a destroyed church on anybody, because that's just it paints Christians in a bad light. You say it makes God look bad, but God can never really look bad. It's us that looks bad, and it paints God in a bad light.
Yeah.
So it just we honestly hope for the best there, that we would that they would be able to get their act together and come back together and continue a huge ministry opportunity that they have up there.
Right.
Honestly. So
Well, speaking of people getting a big head,
yeah, I saw that was coming up next. I'm like, oh, well, this ties in rather nicely.
yeah. Sean Jump, who's the guitarist for the band Icon for Hire, which, for what it's worth, this for those of you who don't keep up maybe as much with this band or the podcast to know kind of a framework for this band, they're a band that is on tooth and nail, who pretty much, for all practical purposes, tries to distance themselves at all costs from the Christian music and media community. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay, well, recently their guitarist, Sean, took to Twitter and just started saying stuff that to me is just dumb on several levels. But anyway, the first thing that really caught on, I think, was that he posted something to the effect of, I will never listen, I'm going to edit this, just so people know. I will never listen to Christian music. It completely misses the point of God, and I actually think he's embarrassed by the crappy music. Yes, there was a word replacement there. I will let you figure out which one it is.
It starts with an S, just so that everybody's clear.
Yes. So, yeah. And of course, a lot of the fans were like, what? Even Skillet? Even Red? What? Even my favorite band?
Yeah.
Which I think is always kind of funny to watch that part of it, because people were like, but I like this band. That can't be true. And, don't get me wrong. I think that has been true to a degree in the past. But I get really irked and turned off whenever a band basically says, for all practical purposes, I am the only good musical thing about Christian music.
Well, and I don't even think he was saying that so much, because with the distancing that they've tried to do from the Christian market, it's kind of like they don't know
that they're a Christian band.
They don't know what they are, I think, in all reality. And it's hard because, I enjoyed their first album. I never really listened to their second album just because they have left a bad taste in my mouth with the way that they've handled themselves. And so it's hard for me to kind of put that aside and listen to the second album. But you listened to it and you thought it was really good, and you said it kind of made you sad that that they've gone the way that they've gone because they are a talented band.
Yeah, and then he also, and for whatever reason, it didn't copy this over, but also one of the other tweets that he put up was that he claims that Tooth and Nail and Brandon Ebel made a call to Warped Tour and either tried or did get them kicked off of Warped Tour. And then he is making the assertion that has something to do with the reason why August Burns Red signed with a different label. So I don't know. Now, when that announcement came out that August Burns Red did sign with Fearless Records, which is a mainstream like hard rock and metal label, Tooth and Nail immediately put out like a little mini press release saying, look, we're super excited for August Burns Red. We love those guys. We have continued to have a great relationship. It's nice to see them move on to a label that we respect or something like that. And, we've always thought they were very professional, and we've been blessed to be able to work with such talented guys, throughout these many years and watch their careers grow. So we're happy for them. And I didn't know what the framework was of that. And I think that probably has something to do with Icon for Hire saying that.
Here's the thing, though. Okay. And I'm going to play a little devil's advocate here just because I can. But if you're Tooth and Nail and a band leaves you, what are you going to put out as a statement? Screw them.
Right.
Forget that other label they signed with.
Right.
I mean, this is it's good business sense.
Oh yeah.
To put out a glowing statement of blah blah blah. This is a wonderful move. Well, okay, how wonderful a move is it? Because you're no longer making money off this band. So
Right.
how can you be that happy for them? I mean, and I'm not saying Tooth and Nail really is bitter about it and that there's issue there. I'm just saying that I don't think you can read too much into a press release that is from a Christian organization that is trying to keep a positive spin on whatever happened. Maybe it is accurate in its statements. Then again, maybe they're just doing it to make sure that people feel
aren't mad at them.
like it's a good
Right.
thing. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's hard to know for sure. And, it's one of those things, and I'm very curious to see the Tooth and Nail documentary when it comes out, because it does touch on, so a lot of bands were very unhappy with the way Tooth and Nail treated them at certain points in times, and others, thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think a lot of that will also come to the matter of how successful those bands were, which is kind of, to a certain degree, that's the point. I mean, it doesn't matter if you make the best music in the world. If you only sell 5 copies of it, no label is going to keep signing you. It doesn't, Christian or not, that doesn't matter. I mean, they have to be able to recoup at least a good chunk of their money to merit keeping you as an artist. So
Alyssa in the chat room says that Icon's album's really good and they're really great in concert. She saw them on Warped Tour. But her opinion is that they're definitely going for the mainstream, which is what we've, kind of asserted for a long time based off of things that we've read and interviews with Ariel and that kind of stuff. It really seems that that's what they're trying to do is push towards the mainstream. And understand, I don't have a problem with a Christian band pushing towards the mainstream.
Yeah.
I just feel that there's no reason to badmouth the Christian market in that process.
Yeah. And this seems to be kind of a new thing that has come out in the last 6 months. I mean, there was that whole statement that was dropped by, it just totally spaced on his name, but As I Lay Dying, dude.
Tim Lambesis.
Tim Lambesis, thank you. Tim, I mean, kind of said the same thing. He's like, most Christian bands are just in it for the money. They're just totally faking it because it's easier to make it in the Christian market and then jump over if they want to. But, it's a good place to start. And it's like we were all doing that. That's just kind of how it goes. So I think there's a lot of outing that's going to continue to happen, whether true or not, of bands that either are or have not appeared at one time or another to be in it for the right reasons. And the danger of this to me is I wonder how often a band says something like that because they had maybe a festival date with a band that was another Christian band. They met them once and that band was having a really bad day.
Right.
And that's what worries me. And I don't doubt that there are Christian bands that, go around and still, hang out with the groupies, so to speak, and maybe get loaded. And I know that there are very well-known Christian band lead singers and guitarists and whatnot who have had drug problems during the midst of their Christian career.
Right.
And there's a lot of pressure that goes with being in that eye and on that kind of a pedestal, which I think is somewhat unfair. But
well, 12 Stones is having a big struggle right now. I mean, when their last album came out, we had started promoting it. Right. And after the first single was released, we got a call from their management saying, you know what, they're really not living lives that we feel are God-honoring right now. So we want you to pull the support and pull the album. Don't talk about it. Don't play it. And we'll see if these guys get their acts together. So I mean, it's one of those. It's hard. I mean, if management calls you and asks you to stop playing their stuff, and they're disappointed that they have to call you, I mean, that's kind of a big signal that there's a problem.
Yeah.
Within the band. Kirk says he likes Icon. He just doesn't find himself listening to them very much. And then Alyssa's comment is that Switchfoot does it well. We've talked about this to where Switchfoot is very capable of playing both sides of the fence without compromising anything. Yeah. And that's the part I think that a lot of people miss is that they're capable of doing that. And I feel like Skillet is getting to that point to where they're starting to see some mainstream success, but they're not walking away from the from the Christian market at all. They're learning how to be able to balance both sides of that coin. POD is, I think, another good example of someone able to balance both sides of the coin. And POD catches so much flack from a lot of the Christian market for the songs that they do, the stylings that they do, the bands that they tour with. You would think that they'd be ready to just toss it and be done with it.
Yeah.
And move over mainstream full time. That's not what their mission's about. They want to be missional to the mainstream artists, but they also believe that there's an audience of Christians that still need and want to be able to listen to their stuff. And I got to say, I'm one of them. I love that POD is still putting out content that is both good quality, music-wise, and lyrically solid as well, and is able to be a ministry to a lot of the mainstream crowd.
Yeah.
It's a hard line to walk, and I don't envy anybody
really
who tries to do it.
No, me neither. Absolutely.
So-
Well, cool. Well, moving on to happier things.
Yes, please.
Trip Lee, who is weird because to me, it almost it feels like he's pulling kind of a Jay-Z, because I was thinking it was like a year and a half ago. He was like, the album that I'm dropping in a month will be my last album. I'm retiring from music. I'm going to be a pastor. I don't feel like music is the thing that I should be doing anymore. Okay. Well, he's announced that he's releasing a new album this fall. Like in October. So don't get me wrong, I'm happy about it because I like Trip Lee. A lot of you may know him as the higher pitched guy on Jesus Music by Lecrae, and then of course he's had some hits of his own as well. But I think that's really where he kind of started, really catching some wind and some success there. So that's cool. I'm anxiously awaiting that, and of course he's getting a lot of support from Lecrae and other artists, which is nice. I think that's one very refreshing thing about a lot of the people in Christian hip hop, is they've been very supportive of each other, as opposed to a lot of what you think of as being rivalries within the mainstream hip hop world, which I know is probably a little bit of a cliche and doesn't happen as much as people think it does. And
and there's also the whole
show.
There's the East Coast West Coast rivalry that happens too.
Right.
I mean, especially in mainstream rap. If you're East Coast, it's all about East Coast rap, and if you're West Coast, it's all about West Coast, and you duke it out, as it were, lyrically, to try and it seems silly to me, but whatever.
Right. I hear you.
Who is
Sullivan? Or
Yeah,
were you about to
I
ask
was
me who
going to
Sullivan
say, who is Sullivan, and why do I care?
They were a band that was on Tooth and Nail for one album, and it was pretty decent from what I remember. And then, they put it out. I think they may have done one tour, and then they went on a hiatus for 7 years.
Okay.
So they are now coming out with a new album. They just signed to Spartan Records, which I believe is a mainstream record label. But they're going to be doing some new stuff that will happen also on October 28th. So that could be cool. I don't remember as much about them as I would like to, but since they had a Tooth and Nail tie-in, it's usually a good idea to link back to those. And speaking of former Tooth and Nail bands, Falling Up doing yet another Kickstarter campaign, which is cool. Now, this is interesting. Now, they're trying something new here. They said if they raise $40,000 in their 40-day period, they're going to make a new full-length album. It'll be another concept record, which is no surprise. That's pretty much all they've done for the past 3 or 4 albums. However, if the band gets up to $60,000, they will do that and a band documentary. If they get up to $80,000, they'll do, I guess, all of that and a music video. And if they get to $100,000, they will reimagine and re-record the songs from the band's first 2 albums, Crashings and Dawn Escapes, which that I think could be really cool.
Yeah, little updated versions.
Yeah, so
Good deal.
hopefully they'll make it. I don't know. I mean, $100,000 for Falling Up right now seems a little ambitious, because I know most of the people who I am friends with who are Christian rock fans don't even realize that Falling Up still exists.
Right.
So it will be interesting to see how well they do. I think they can probably hit the $40,000 mark fairly easily, but I don't know. The rest of it is going to be interesting to see if that happens. Of course, I will be totally stoked if it does, but who knows? Although I honestly kind of wish they would make the $100,000 one rather make it the $60,000 one, because I don't care as much about a music video, honestly,
right.
or even the documentary.
Aren't you gonna do a music video anyway?
Right? Like that seems like kind of just kind of happens, right? So.
Tom says he remembers Falling Up sounding like a Cutlass clone.
Oh no, you got to go back and listen to their stuff. Mind you, like their early stuff, I wasn't as thrilled with because it was kind of, I don't know. To me, it always felt a little awkward. Although their first album at the time, I think, was the best-selling album that Tooth and Nail had ever put out. But their later stuff got really experimental and interesting and kind of weird, which I thought was really fun. So I would encourage you, if you haven't listened to Falling Up in a while and you just remember their first 2 albums, go back and listen to one of their more recent ones and just see what you think. Very different. And a lot of people who I know who didn't like their early stuff really fell in love with their new stuff. So
Yeah, good deal.
worth giving a shot. But
Well, and the last little bit we have to talk about is Lacey, formerly of the band Flyleaf, is apparently written a book, and it's going to be releasing on October 7th. The book is titled The Reason: How I Discovered a Life Worth Living, and it details how she came to faith. Supposedly, she's also in the studio working on upcoming songs for a solo album,
yeah,
which will make a lot of fans very happy. It's funny, Tim posted I think the album cover for the new Flyleaf album that's due out, and people were commenting, Lacey, and we're like, no, she's done with the band. That was like 2 years ago.
Keep up, people. Keep up.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see the possibility of what she's going to do, what her sound's going to be like. I know when she did that version of Mercy Tree, I still get goosebumps when I listen to that thing. I mean, it's amazing.
Right.
Her vocal prowess to me is really cool. She's got this great singing voice, but then she's got that scream and kind of metal sound that she has also. It's her voice is just so different.
It is. It's
And some people love it and some people don't.
Yeah.
You know, my sister can't listen to Lacey because she wants a female vocal to be normal,
And
just
pretty.
normal, like a Paramore, you know, a Hayley Williams from Paramore, or even maybe a Dawn from Fireflight. But
Right.
Lacey, because she's got those strange inflections in
Right.
her voice, my sister just can't listen to it. She just doesn't enjoy it.
I bet she doesn't like the Cranberries either, does she?
No, not so much. Not so much. And that's a great example of, you know, it's the same kind of things. When my sister was asking me for music that had female vocals, you know, I gave her some stuff and she came back and she's like, oh, Fireflight's good and Paramore's good. And I can't remember if I gave her the first Icon album or not. But I gave her Flyleaf and she's like, oh, no, I've heard them before. And she's like, I can't listen to her sing. It's just too weird for me.
Right.
So, you know, but that's why there's music for everyone.
Right. This is true.
Tom says her scream is in flipping tense. Yes.
I know, I love
I
it.
would agree with that.
I
will break. Yeah, it's like, oh my. It was like, the first time I heard Flyleaf, I didn't know they were a Christian band.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm
ditto.
listening to this and I'm like, oh my word, that woman sounds possessed. And I found out later I was right. It's just possessed by the Holy Spirit and not
That's
a demon.
right.
So there
That's
you go.
right.
You know, everybody wins.
Very cool. Well, hey, before we move on, I just realized I'm looking at my phone
Okay.
and I've got a voicemail.
Uh-oh.
I've got a voicemail that I have to play for you.
Okay.
It says it's from Steve Taylor. Do you want to hear this?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, here we go.
So, Chris, Paul told me about this little issue that we have going on,
Oh my.
and I just want you to know that our first and really only goal with the new album is to make you like me.
Are you kidding me? Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow.
You like our first little celebrity drop in there?
Holy smokes. Yeah, Tom Labonte says, haha, you got told by Steve Taylor. Oh my. That's crazy.
And for those of you who have no clue what's going on, you have to go back and listen to last week's episode.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Oh, that's funny. He's going to be at Rock of Ages in October, and so I'm sure we're going to try and see if we can set up an interview with him and
Oh, absolutely.
and chat with him before the show. So we're
Remind me,
excited about that.
What's the date on that?
October
specifically?
4th. It's always the first Saturday in October.
Because Because I think I may be in California in October, but I don't think it's going to be during that point. So
Yeah, it's that very first weekend in October, that first Saturday. And what's great about Rock of Ages this year, and of course last year as well, is that they've been able to make it for free the last 2 years. So it's come out and be ministered to. Steve Taylor is going to be the headliner. He's going to have Phil Joel and Peter Furler, I think, is going to be there as well.
Nice.
Christafari, which they come every year, and I still haven't figured out why. Did I say that out loud?
Yes, I do believe you did, man.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that's a bummer because I think I'm going to be in California like at the end of October.
Okay.
It's
right at the beginning. So it's pretty much that weekend every year, which is awesome because we can count on it.
Yeah, you can plan.
Yeah.
Planning is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a Newsboys reunion concert. Well, sort of. It'll be Phil and Peter, and that's about the extent of the reunion.
Oh, there is one other thing that wasn't in the news.
Okay.
Because I think it just came out last night on Facebook, so I think most of the news sites that we get our stuff from haven't caught on to this yet. But there is a new tour that has just been announced. I believe it's called The Two-Headed Beast or something like that. But it's going to be Emery co-headlining with Norma Jean, and Artifex Pareo is going to be their support on that.
Oh, wow.
I know, but they're not coming anywhere near either one of us.
Yeah, well, that seems to be the case. This is about the only time I'd really like to live in the Midwest or East.
Yeah.
Like, seriously? Come on.
Right. Speaking of proximity, though, I think this is kind of fun. Based on just the screen name of Alyssa in the chat room, I went and found her band's Facebook page, and come to find out she lives in Vancouver, Washington, which is like 30 minutes away.
How cool.
I know.
Good
We're
deal.
like geographical neighbors. Woo.
Nice. Excellent. Let me see. Kirk says they're going to play Take Me to Your Leader beginning to end the whole album. Maybe. Steve as well, who's the 8th or 9th or whatever member. Yeah, that's a good possibility. Anything can happen. So, well, that's going to do it for news, which we are super stoked about. We got a little something different from Tom this week. It's not the typical album review like we're used to. So let's see what it is that Tom decided he wanted to share with us this week.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
And a hard place. New music.
Hey guys, something a bit different this week. Rather than an album, I wanted to do a review of a different sort. And don't worry, next week I'll let you know whether or not you should shell out for the new Family Force 5 or not, if you haven't already. I had the chance to catch Viridia, Demon Hunter, and Red on the Run and Escape tour earlier this week, so I thought I'd give you my thoughts on it from my perspective. Only the second stop of the tour, I saw the show at a sweet and legendary venue in Flint, Michigan called the Machine Shop. This is strictly a concert venue on the outskirts of an economically hard-hit town, but the economics haven't deterred great acts from passing through, such as Scott Stapp twice this year, last time being about a month ago. Can't say enough about this venue and Kevin and his staff that run this joint. Mega kudos out to them. When we arrived, I made a beeline for the backstage, which is about 15 feet from the front door, since I had an interview set up with Viridia that would take place before showtime. I hung out with Yogi from Demon Hunter for a quick sec, and after Viridia had soundchecked and set up their merch, we went to a quiet location and chilled out for a bit. I say chilled because my time with Viridia was very chill, rather than a press versus band interview. It was the band's first Canadian interview, so there was some excitement in the air. I'll play a clip of this interview at the end of this so you can get a taste of what I'm talking about. It's kind of funny, they actually heard the Rockin' a Hard Place review of their EP Inseparable from back in February or March, and Trevor actually said that his mom played it for everybody. Now, shortly after, the concert began, and I had the best seat in the house, sonically speaking. I was talking and hanging out with some of the venue peeps, and they said I could sit in the sound booth. Now that never happened, so I took them up on it. Viridia hit the stage, and the house was eager to hear what this band that seemingly came out of nowhere and shot to #1 on the charts was going to sound like live. The track to the first song started playing, and right as Dina sang at the top of her lungs, "We Are the Brave," we all knew we were in for a treat. Rather than just some local nobodies opening up, we were given a glimpse of the future of Christian rock. They moved all the way through their 5-track EP without a hitch, and they were quick to be a presence in the venue and at their merch table to meet and greet new fans. Class acts all around. Quick set change, aka talk about the band and make new friends, and then Demon Hunter took the stage. Out of the possibly 500 people in the room, at least 60% of them were wearing some type of Demon Hunter paraphernalia, and they were just freaking out when Ryan Clark came on the stage. The first song to greet the crowd, Death, from the new album Extremist. From note 1, they had everyone in the place in the palm of their hands. From then on, they played this set in this order: Collapsing, Undying, Fading Away, I Will Fail You, Storm the Gates of Hell, Artificial Light, Gasoline, and My Destiny. My favorite moments were Artificial Light and Gasoline. I think this is when the band and crowd were the most united. For real. Not a visible or audible flaw in the entire show. They actually had to tell the crowd to move around at one point, but I think it was because everyone was just in awe that moving was a secondary thought while DH played. And when they were done, that's when the wait began. Now, I know it takes time to change the stage and the band goes on at a certain time, blah blah blah, but Red was late. Had to be, because we waited for what felt like forever. Met some cool people during that time, but I kept watch on Red's crew and you could tell something was up. Before Red came out, a dubstep remix of Run and Escape played in the house. Finally, after what felt like an hour, Red came out and started to rock. Or at least tried to. As they played Release the Panic, Michael's vocals were almost nowhere to be found. It got a bit better when they moved on to Damage, but they were still muddy. I wanted to get into it because it's Red, for crying out loud, but I'm picky when it comes to sound and it was too distracting. After a few more songs, Michael actually apologized for the issues and said it was a moment of being reminded that we're not the ones in control. They tried to play on, but eventually they ended up taking a long break to try to figure out what was happening. The crowd was insanely forgiving and hung out for about 5 to 7 minutes before Red came back out. But when they went to play again, the click track that is normally in the earpiece of the band played out in the house. Michael acknowledged it and was visibly frustrated, but pushed on nonetheless. The sound did get better by the time they played a crowd favorite, Feed the Machine, but I couldn't help thinking that this definitely wasn't their best show. I glanced at the set list that their lights guy had, and they ended up cutting a good portion of it, including a drum solo. Bummer. Everyone loves a drum solo, and it would have been cool to see Dan Johnson show his stuff. By the way, that dubstep remix of Run and Escape that played before the band went on, that was the only time Run and Escape played, on the Run and Escape tour. Anyway, after the show, we got a few minutes with Demon Hunter, which was really sick, especially for my buddy that was with me. Snapped some pics, recorded some liners, etc. Gotta say though, Ryan is far more humble and gentler than the imposing figure you see in promo material. Very cool guy, and I hope I get some more time with him down the road. You can still catch the Run and Escape tour if it comes near you this week, as they're in Texas and finally finishing up in Nashville on the 22nd of August. I highly recommend it, as Viridia was tight, Demon Hunter is worth the price of admission, and Red will obviously work out the kinks. Lastly, here's a clip from my interview with Viridia.
So Dina, do you write the lyrics?
I write a lot of them.
Did you write Mystery of the Invisible?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a part in that song, and it gets me every time, the part where you say, "Have faith, my dear." You know the part, right? A really close in part, right? Now, I want to know, when you wrote that, when you sing it, who are you singing to? Who do you picture?
Well, honestly, initially it was myself. Anytime that I felt like I lost faith or that I had any doubts in my mind, it really was just a spot that I wanted to get the audience. I wanted them to feel like they were the only person in the room, every single individual, that when they feel alone, when they feel uncertain about life, that they just need to have faith. And I feel like the music and everything surrounding that just kind of just gives you that sort of feeling of isolation, and I don't know.
That's awesome.
For the Rock in a Hard Place podcast, I'm Tom Labonte.
That's right. Thank you, Tom Labonte. Appreciate it very much. And you can find Tom on UCB Canada as he does The Edge or rockfortherock.net. Super stoked for that guy being able to go to that show. And I'm also actually quite jealous that he was able to go.
Tom, I know that you're waiting for this, and I won't disappoint you. I hate Tom Labonte.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks.
Just because of that.
It's disappointing that Red had the problems that they have, because I've seen Red in concert twice, and both times they were lock step. I mean, it was just absolutely on it.
Right.
And
Which,
so
by the way, I will throw this out there real quick. The dubstep version that you heard, I believe, is on their YouTube channel. And I kept on trying to find it, but they have 2 remixes that I think are YouTube exclusives. Like, I don't think they're planning on releasing them any other way.
Gotcha.
But you can't get it on their Vivo account. It has to be on their Red account, on their Red YouTube account. So you have to search for Red YouTube, because if you just search for Red on YouTube, it'll pull up their Vivo, but you have to go to Google or Bing or whatever and type in Red YouTube. It's weird.
Awesome. I'll have to check it out.
Just throwing that out there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 3 bags full. Oh my. Okay. So we kind of came up with a topic that probably won't take us too awful long to talk about today, but we think that that this is something that should be discussed, kind of what our take is, and maybe you guys in the chat room can give us some of your takes, especially Alyssa, since you're in a band. You might have a different spin on this, but we kind of wanted to talk today about the fan.
Yeah.
And so, Paul, since this was your idea, why don't you take it first and kind of share with me what's going through your head on this topic, and then I'll chime in when I feel like it.
Okay. What I was thinking of when I approached this idea was of the people who I see quite often, because they are kind of banned or self-appointed like fan spokespersons for a certain musical group. And these are the people who voluntarily run like a fan club or a fan Twitter account or stuff like this, stuff that's always trying to promote a band. And sometimes it feels like, if you're one of these people, please don't think I'm talking about you. It might be, but I don't think so. I'm probably not. But there are fans that do this sort of thing that sometimes I wonder if they are almost too big of a fan, to the point where you can tell that they are already completely sold on a record and everything about it before it comes out.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that is a healthy thing, mainly because to me it almost feels like you lose your sense of maybe slight credibility as a music fan to a certain degree, or you also maybe are giving up a sense of self to a certain point as well, to say to a band essentially, I love you so much as individuals and as people. I will like anything that you put on a CD or on iTunes. I will gobble it up. There is no wrong you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, this is an extreme thing, and I'm not even saying it's like people who have like run the official Facebook, Twitter, whatever account for a certain band that's like the fan version of it. I'm not saying this is necessarily you, but sometimes it feels that way because like people will be so on board of like, oh, you got to add this new song to your countdown. It's like, okay, that song hasn't come out yet.
Right.
But no, you need to add it. It's like, it doesn't exist. And they're like, but it's awesome. I'm like, how do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be awesome. I hope so too. But
that's great that it's going to be.
Right. But it's just this idea of some people just feel like, for lack of a better term coming to mind, it's like you totally drank the band Kool-Aid.
Right.
You're so on board with this that it's almost borderline cultish. And this doesn't happen often, I don't think. But the point I wanted to bring up is that healthy for the band whenever there is maybe a lot of people like that around you that you are like maybe are in contact with you a lot. So it's like having almost like a long distance groupie to a certain degree. I mean, it's like, you know, you can't do any wrong. And sometimes I think bands need that person who's like, I like you guys as people. I like you for your faith. I liked your last 3 albums. Your new one kind of sucks.
Right.
And, you know, and that's okay. I think that sometimes that is needed. And I'm not saying that bands need to listen to it, because I think that's kind of what happened with Red with the last album, is everyone was like, we love you guys, and the new album's terrible. No strings. You know, and I don't think that you necessarily have to listen to it, but I think it's good to have that counterpoint to label and, you know, things people may be telling you what you want to hear to keep you on their payroll or bringing in money for them. And I think it's a good idea to have people who are objective, who are in your ear to a certain degree. And I just wonder if the super fan is something that is more good than bad or more bad than good.
Well, I guess the ultimate question for me, though, is, you know, how much credence does the band give the fan base? How much does the band allow the fans to shape the sound of the band? Right. If there's too much influence from the fan base as to a particular sound that the band must maintain, then the band will never be able to grow in the future.
Yeah. Agreed.
Because they're not allowed to experiment.
Yeah.
And I think Red saw that with
Release the Panic.
Release the Panic. And then when they did Recalibrated, they went back to what they sounded like before, kind of remixed. Now, honestly, I liked Release the Panic the way it was.
Yeah.
I have no problems with them dropping the strings.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason there's strings in a lot of the music nowadays is because Metallica went and released their album with a bunch of orchestrations. And I have no problem with the orchestrations being in the music. You know, it sounds fine. I mean, Skillet's done it and Red's done it, and that, you know, Metallica and that kind of stuff. I get all that. It's fine. But I don't feel like you have to maul a band, basically, that chooses to try a different direction and then push them so hard that they end up having to go back or feeling as though they have to go back and remix in order to keep their fans happy. Like, I mean, there's times where a band is going to have to say, screw the fans. This is the direction that we're heading. If you want to come with us, you're welcome to. Yeah. If you don't want to come with us, thanks for the ride so far. It was great knowing you. We're moving on.
And I also think that there are two separate parties of this, of kind of the diehard fans.
Right.
And this is where this is kind of the differentiation I'm going to make. I think there are the fans like we discussed earlier who are like, I will like everything no matter what you do. You can change in any given direction. I'm going to like you because I like you as a person. Mm-hmm. I think that is not so great.
Right.
But then you have somebody like, this is timely, like Steve Taylor, who has been able to retain his fan bases for so long, not because I think people are obsessed with him as much as a person, but because people like a certain thing about his music that is not tied directly to a genre. Because his style has changed. Almost every album put him in a slightly different category of rock music. Mm-hmm. But I think people liked Steve Taylor for his lyrics and his vibe, even though the style changed.
Right.
Now, there are bands who have not had so much success with that. Bride is one of them. They released a very, at least for the Christian market at the time, a very successful album called Snakes in the Playground. It was, it was Guns N' Roses-esque at its best.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went from that to another album that was kind of similar that didn't do quite so well. But then they went to kind of a almost classic art rock kind of, I don't know what it was. I mean, it was very different from that. And then that didn't work. So then they did a grunge thing and that didn't work. And then they did a rapcore thing and that didn't work. And then they went to kind of a more modern metal thing and that didn't work. And it feels like they've tried slight alterations on everything. And they've even tried to go back to the original formula. And by then it may have either been too late or they just didn't do it as well. And so, I mean, people like Dale Thompson's voice from Bride, but a lot of people were fans because of this one album, this one thing that they did.
Yeah, right.
So you have all of these things that are very weird, and it's hard to peg down because I think it has to be, you have to have this thing that you do really, really well, and that needs to say at least somewhat the same. Like Steve Taylor never was like, I'm going to write, praise and worship music now, that is my new thing.
Right.
He would have lost his fans for doing that.
Right.
But he was able to change styles and yet still keep a fan basis because his lyrical viewpoint stayed at least within the same general area.
Right.
And I think that is really, I think that's a good thing. Whereas bands that are like, all of a sudden, it's like, okay, we're tired of doing rock music. We're going to do folk music. That tends to be very hard because then you get rid of one fan base and you have to completely recoup another fan base. And then there will be a few people who will stick around just because it's easier than trying to find a new band that they like.
Right.
Or maybe they do genuinely just like the vocalist or whatever.
Right.
But it's that weird dichotomy of how much can you change and how much should you change and still be able to retain fans. And as a fan, it's like, are you supposed to like a band no matter what they put out?
Mm-hmm.
Are you supposed to go see them every time they come to town?
Yeah.
Are you supposed to buy X amount of dollars worth of merch from them? All those are good things, and bands wouldn't be able to survive if fans didn't do at least some of those things. But where's the line there?
Yeah. So Alyssa says, I give more weight to someone who's honest than someone who's a super fan. And then she goes on to say that I think... now, see, people are still chatting and moving my chat thing. I'm trying to read people. Knock it off. I think you should do music you enjoy and is honest than what others think is cool. People will get it. Mm-hmm. And those are the people you want around you. She says, I love Steve Taylor's lyrics. The best thing that happened to the Newsboys, in her opinion. And then Kirk says, Bride just kind of lost their touch. And Tom says, I see fans like this. If a band is a business, fans are the shareholders. Yeah. A band takes care of business, but the fans have sway, and their opinions matter. And their opinions may be reflected in them selling their shares, quote, when unhappy. And I think that Tom's got a good perspective on it. I mean, being in a band is a business, and if you want to sell albums, then there's a point where you need to cater to the fan. But at the same time, I think you still need to, the band still needs to maintain some semblance of truth to themselves. You have to be true to yourself when you're in a band. You can't, if everything you do is only about the fan, then I don't feel like you're making art. You're making a commoditized product that sells really well. It's the same thing with just about anything you buy at the store. I mean, it's flashy and it's glitzy. It may not be very good, but hey, it looks cool, so I'm going to go ahead and pick it up. That's just, I just don't see that as being healthy for the relationship on either side of things.
Yeah, and and it's weird because I find I have a hard time with this because I'm a very non-confrontational person.
Yeah.
So there will be things that happen like say whenever a new album comes out by a band that I really typically enjoy, but I don't maybe enjoy it as much as a previous record. Whenever I go to like an album review or something and it's got comments below it, and they're like, "Oh, this is terrible. I don't like them anymore. I used to like them." My first reaction is to be like, "Oh, you're such a jerk."
Totally, totally.
Which is sad because on one level I kind of feel that way, but I tend to, my brain tends to work in slightly, I guess, more maybe polite ways because I'm like, I don't like it as much. I still like the band, and I still love a lot of. I love a lot of things about the band, even though I don't necessarily like their new album as much as others. And it would be one of those things where if a band asked me point blank, what do you think about this album versus this one? I would say, oh, well, I liked this album better. I still enjoy this. I just don't enjoy it as much.
Sure.
And I think that's fair. But I think that's one thing that the internet is really irksome. So it's like everyone is either the second coming or Hitler. And
right.
That's annoying.
Right.
Because everything is like, I love it. It's the best thing ever. I would die for this, or I would kill anyone who likes this because it is stupid.
See, and that's the hard part about the anonymity that the internet provides. And I mean anonymity in such a way as even though your name is on Facebook, you don't know anybody that's there in that conversation, so you feel as though you have the right to say whatever you feel like with little to no consequence of that action, or little to no perceived consequence to that action.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and so it becomes an issue. Look, I'm going to get a little personal and probably a little political here, so bear with me on this, okay? My buddy's mom right now is fighting for her life. She is the second American woman who has the Ebola virus that is now at Emory Hospital in Atlanta.
Right.
Okay. This guy was a pastor at my church, and he and I are very good friends. He was just out here this last summer for a friend of mine's graduation from seminary and stayed at my house. His mom has sat at my dinner table and had breakfast with us. Well, I guess it would be a breakfast table then. At that moment, sat down at the table with us, had breakfast with her. I know her.
Right.
So when the media started broadcasting that they were going to bring her and Dr. Brantley home, the amount of vitriol that was espoused by a large portion of the American public was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But there is that level of anonymity that goes along with those kind of statements. I mean, to feel as though if they come to the U.S., that suddenly everyone in the entire country is going to be exposed to the Ebola virus from the two of them is absolutely ridiculous. Okay. Our borders are open down south. People pouring over without, unchecked mostly. Flights are still coming in to recognized national airports all over our country. And nobody knows if any of them might be carrying the virus. It's far more likely that that's going to be the case. But it's that whole idea that people feel as though they're anonymous on the internet that I think is a huge detriment to society, and it's making it so that we feel we can make whatever comments we want, and it doesn't matter because we don't know who is paying attention, and nobody knows who we are, essentially.
Right.
That kind of an attitude for anybody to have is dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it is. And it's funny because it's spilled over into everyday conversations because people don't know how to talk to each other in person, which is interesting and annoying because I find this all the time with students, whether it's at my day job when I do assemblies or sometimes students maybe at my wife's school.
Right.
And stuff like that. It's just people don't have a grasp on, when I say something out loud, it has an effect on people. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. And so the idea of being polite and not saying everything that it pops into your head is kind of going away because everyone's used to spending time on the computer where they can, somebody says something you disagree, then you can just say, F you, you're stupid, I hate you.
Right. Right.
And this dumb stuff. And so you get these people who are used to doing that. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you mean I can't just say that to your face and that's not okay? You're mad at me? Why are you mad at me? It's just something that I said.
Yeah, totally. I don't understand. I don't understand. That's, it's so frustrating. And when you begin, my niece has a friend who is the type of super fan that you're talking about.
Right.
Except she's only a super fan of a particular band until another band comes along that she seems to like. Right. So my niece will listen to music. Okay?
Yeah.
And she will find this band that she really enjoys a couple of songs on. And she will tell her friend, hey, check this band out. You might like them.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this person has purchased every album they've ever produced.
Right.
She is spamming her Facebook page with stuff about this band. She's driving hours to go see this band in concert.
Right.
And trying to find ways to hang out with said band after the show.
Right.
Now, not in the slutty way.
Yeah. Well, thank you for clarifying that.
Because I mean that's definitely a part of it, and even Christian artists deal with this.
Yeah.
You know, not in that style of way. She just suddenly feels like she has found the best band ever.
Right. And she wants to bask in the glow. And
then in a month, she'll have found another band that is the best band ever.
Right. Yeah.
So it's that kind of a, now she's to one side of the spectrum, where her loyalties are easily switched to whatever the next biggest thing is. She has a short attention span. Alyssa says, haha, I know that girl. So that's kind of the that's one type of fan. The other type, which I think is honestly can be the more dangerous type of fan, is the kind that you're referring to where they are just constantly there. When I went to see Skillet play in Petaluma, they recognized half of the people who showed up for VIP.
Oh, yeah.
Because these people travel wherever they can to do the VIP thing with Skillet.
Right.
I would be concerned about that. If I were Skillet.
Are you going to show up on my lawn?
I would be worried, legitimately.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's an aspect of being a fan and being able to enjoy their music and being able to see them play a show when they're in your area is one thing.
Right. Yeah.
Paying money for a plane ticket or driving multiple hours, multiple times within a very short amount of time. I mean, that's like, let's say Red comes through California and they play Anaheim, San Francisco, Sacramento, Eureka, and then up into Portland.
Right.
And I go buy tickets for
three
Anaheim,
shows,
San Francisco, Sacramento, Eureka.
Yeah.
Why? It's the same show every night.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is kind of a borderline creepy fixation kind of a thing. And I get it. I mean, I think a lot of people go through that, and it's that weird super fandom. And it's funny because I find a lot of times that it feels like those are the fans that also burn out very quickly. Like they will do that for 2 tours, and then you may never see them again.
Yeah. Alyssa says it's flattering and scary. I can only imagine. I mean, it's got to be more awkward as a female in a band.
Yeah. Because
it's typically going to be males that are fawning all over you.
Right.
Than it would be to be. I mean, as a guy, I would think that it would be easy to just say, okay, back off. Or security, can you push them back a little bit? But as a female, and I'm guessing here because I'm not a girl, I would think that there is a level of fear that would creep into that type of fan obsession.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Guys that are fans of female bands or female-fronted bands, don't be creepy.
Yeah, don't be a creeper.
That's just weird.
Yeah.
So what depicts a good fan, Paul? What do you think? I mean, we've talked about the awkward and the odd and the weird and the creepy and the stalker. What is it that makes a legitimate fan a good fan?
To me, it's weird. It's just like, and this may sound weird, but I think it's a lot like Christianity and just about any other thing. It's good. It's good to be in moderation, because I think any one of those things is fine, but in moderation. So, if you can afford it and don't have to go in debt for it, go see him in concert. If you can afford it and you really like this band and you want to represent, buy a T-shirt from them. If you're really a huge fan and you don't want them to go away, support their Kickstarter if they're doing one of those.
Yeah.
I think all that is well, good, and great. But it's like we said in a previous episode. I don't think you necessarily need to feel guilty about not supporting bands that you're not as big of a fan of. But if it's a band that is your band, is one of 5 bands that is just, really on your mind right now, whether just because you enjoy their music or you really like their hearts as Christians, or maybe you just really liked their last album, feel free to support them in those ways. And that's the way they make money. I mean, it is showing them a positive reaction to their art. And it goes a long way towards helping them not only feel right about their life decisions, but also it helps put food in their mouths, which is a huge thing. And a lot of times people forget that. And I think another aspect that is maybe going back to the negative thing that you have to be very careful about is something that has come up that may end up being a future topic on the show, I'm sure, but this was addressed recently because of some stuff that Michael Gungor said. And a reaction to that is, when you're a fan, don't feel like you have to buy everything that the band sells. Right. And I mean that in a bigger picture sort of way. If all of a sudden to you they feel like they're coming completely out of left field and they're saying something that theologically you feel is wrong, don't feel like you have to change your viewpoint to fit that because you really like that band. Also, I would say, don't feel guilty for continuing to like that band despite that, because let's face it, they're artists. They're not scholars most of the time. Some of them are.
Right.
But by and large, most of them are people who have been playing music since midway through high school. Many of them have never been to college. Most of them have a very limited worldview because the most people that they hang out with are people who are in the same position they are and or people who are wanting to kiss their butts. It's very easy in this situation to get a very big head to think that you know more than you do. And some of them may have legitimate points, but don't feel like you have to bend where you feel like you should be on a theological viewpoint just because you like the band's musicians or people in the band. It's okay to make you think about it.
Yeah.
And it's okay for you to say, oh, I never thought about it that way. I want to go do research on that myself so I can understand it better so I can make an informed decision. I think that's fantastic. But don't ever get hung up on, oh, so-and-so says this. Man, that's awesome. I totally believe that now because they said it.
Right.
Don't do that.
Right. Yeah, that's where it can be, when you take what a band says or a lead singer sings as a gospel statement, there's a lot of danger in that for both you and the singer. Singers a lot of times use imagery or allegory to be able to tell a story. You got to know, you can interpret that story many different ways.
Right.
And sometimes it's intended to be that way, and sometimes it's allowable, but there was still an actual point that the singer was trying to make. And that's the hard part that a lot of people try to find distinction with. Let's say the Skillet song Lucy. Okay. Everybody had this idea that Lucy was killed in a drunk driving accident, and the boyfriend was standing at the cemetery who had been drinking that night and tried to drive her and ended up getting, Lucy got killed, whatever. Yeah. And hey, that's an interesting take, and I think the song could be that way. But then somebody took the time to ask John, what was that song about?
Right.
And he said, well, it was about a young couple that we knew that got pregnant out of wedlock and decided to have an abortion.
Right.
And then never really recovered from that. And they went to a counselor. And the counselor said, you need to name the baby that you had aborted. Right. And you need to have a burial with a gravestone. You need to make that baby real.
Right, yeah.
And so they named the baby Lucy.
Yeah.
And they did the whole burial and gravestone and everything like that as part of the process.
Right.
You go back and listen to that song, Lucy, and you're like, oh my goodness, I totally get it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So and I asked Chris Manifest this when we talked. It was like, are you okay with people interpreting your songs however they want? And he goes, yeah, it's totally fine by me. He's like, I know what I write about. I know what the song's intent might be. But if it's able to bless somebody and they're able to get something else out of it, then that's totally fine. That's a part of what makes music music. But I think that you, the listener, have to, this is my own thing, I think you, the listener, have to be careful about reading too much into a song. There's a danger there of taking a song much deeper than it was ever intended to be, and you could come up with perceived truths about what
even if you do know what it's about,
Right.
and you're correct, that doesn't mean that that is actually true. That means that at the time that somebody sat down with a pen and paper at that point in their life, wrote the song, that's what they was going through their heads. And I think that that's something that's very easily lost is what Christian musicians write about is not gospel. It is their perspective at a certain point in time, and it is often a artistic representation of something that they were going through.
Right.
Just like there was that song on the new Scott Stapp album that is taken from the perception of like a demonic spirit. If you take that at complete total face value, he looks like a total jerk.
Right.
You have to know a little bit of these things. And at the same token, there are other songs I listen to. I'm like, wow, that is so theologically off from everywhere I stand. I still like the band, but that song I don't necessarily like because it just totally seems to fly in the face of what I believe to be true. But I still, like parts of the band, even though somehow on a subconscious level, even though I don't want it to, I may like the band slightly less because of it.
Yeah.
But, and it's hard to make that work in your head. But, it's a matter of being able to be, I guess, objective about bands. Not even necessarily about, oh, I really like their last album, I have to like the new one. But even just about stuff like maybe this person is theologically stupid. Sometimes this happens.
Ignorant.
And it's okay. Yeah, maybe they're just ignorant. And that's not necessarily bad.
Right.
But how you internalize it can be.
Yeah.
So you just have to be somewhat objective as a fan and kind of maybe pull back a little bit from being a fan to being a consumer of art.
Yeah.
Because really that's what they see it as, and that's what it needs to be taken as.
Well, Alyssa says that she finds it interesting to hear someone else's take on lyrics. And that's, I think that as being an artist, that's a part of what you deal with. I don't know that there's too many artists that will get on you for interpreting their song in a different way. That a lot of people realize that music and lyrics are open to interpretation. The same as poetry and paintings, just like any other art. There's an impressionistic side to music.
Right.
Tom says that he thinks a good fan is appreciation. What makes a good fan is appreciation. He says a band gave you something of value. You show appreciation by giving back what you can so that they can give more. So I think that's a pretty succinct way of putting it. Appreciation is one thing. Rabid affection is something completely different.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but, I hope that kind of explains kind of our idea of what fandom is and maybe gives everybody a better idea of that. So, hopefully that kind of hits home. I know we don't have a tremendous amount of time left, Paul, because you've got some stuff that you need to do. So do you want to do the stew, and do you want to do your noise trade picks today, or...
Let's just do the stew, and we'll save noise trade for next time around. There is some good stuff on there, and we'll definitely get to it. But feel free to poke around. You can actually sort to where it just shows Christian music. If you don't want to accidentally download some stuff that's mainstream, I can understand that.
Yeah.
So feel free to poke around on there. Noisetrade.com. It's a great place to grab free music, and I'll have some recommendations probably next week. Hopefully, if I can talk one of our cohorts into taking Chris's place, considering he's going to leave me.
Yeah. Well, it'll actually give me a reason to listen to the show.
There you go.
So
you
good
get
deal.
to be a fan for the day.
Yeah, and you know what? You can record it whenever you have time. You're not limited to just Saturday being the thing. So, here, let's start this.
The Rock in a Hot Place podcast presents
the one and the only.
All right, boys and girls, get ready for
The Stew.
All right, it is time for The Stew. 1 movie, 3 songs. Chris has to figure them all out. And the theme this week is that they all came out in the same year. So, Chris, see what you can do with it.
Oh, I don't like these same year ones.
This is a recent year,
somewhat,
comparatively speaking, anyway.
All right, well, here we go. This is The Stew 22 for those of you that are keeping count.
You're supposed to be dead. Sorry to disappoint.
I need to know that you're real, cause I'm struggling. You need to show that you're here, cause I'm stumbling. Show me that you care, this is why I'm saying this.
I want to borrow it for spelunking. Spelunking.
What's it gonna take to break that hold? If you want it, if you want it, if you want it, then let go.
Well,
dude, I better get this one. That's what Tom says. I better get what part though, Tom? The movie or the music?
I think he's probably thinking of the movie.
Well, the movie's Batman Begins.
Oh, nicely done.
What gave it away was the comment from Morgan Freeman. Spelunking, because I didn't get it before then. I wasn't thinking Christian Bale. Oh, all of it. Tom says, yeah. Well, that's going to be a little more difficult. Is track 2 KJ?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. So I got that at least.
Yeah.
It's like I know the songs. I'm just trying to think of either who they are or what the title of the song is. So let me go with clip 1, the long clip, and let me see what's up with it. Is that POD?
No. Somewhat similar, but no, not POD.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Tom's very disappointed in me right now, I can tell.
Well, I'll give you a hint. The name of the song is not Where Do We Go From Here, but that is the name of the album that it's off of.
Okay, well, is the song Hypnotized?
Yes.
Okay, but now I got to figure out who did it.
Oh, do you want the year? Would that help any?
Well, no, that's what I'm supposed to guess.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's all part of the theme, right?
Okay, sure, if you want to.
Well, no, that's what you told me. They all came out in the same year.
They did, but I wasn't planning on making you guess.
Well, that's why I don't like the year ones, is because
okay.
I can never get the year that they came out in.
Okay, well, I'll tell you the year.
Okay.
The year is 2005.
That's not that helpful.
And this band just recently reunited and is working on new
Pillar?
music. It is Pillar.
Okay, Pillar. There we go. Yeah, there's definitely some similarities between. Let's see. You Just Broke My Wife's Heart. She's a huge fan of this band.
Ah.
Well, I think I got it. Okay, I got it. It's Pillar. All right. Okay. My goodness. Wow. Okay. So KJ was the second song, but should I play it and see if I can figure out what the title of the song is?
You will if you play the long version.
Oh, will I?
Yeah.
I need to know that you're real, cause I'm struggling. You need to show that you're here, cause I'm stumbling. Show me that you care, this is why I'm saying this. Are you real? I want to know.
So I'm gonna guess it's called "Are You Real?"
Yes. Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, I always get confused. It's either Jesse from Falling Up on that track, or it's a lead singer from Cutlass. I think it may be the guy from Cutlass.
Okay.
But yeah, doing some guest vocals on that chorus there.
All right, let's try Long Song 3 and see what I do with this.
Okay.
What's it gonna take to break that hold? If you want it, if you want it, if you want it, then let go. If you want it, if you want it, if you want it, then let go.
See, I know this.
It was their first album, has a red cover with kind of an artsy looking flame on it. I know it's not Thousand Foot Crutch. Tom's trying to help you.
Blank of Blank. Blank of Blank.
It was the lead singer was a mainstream crossover and started a new band that was a Christian band. And it's not Love of Death.
No. Well, that was Love and Death. No,
I know.
Blank of Blank, all I can think of is Art of Noise, and that's a mainstream, like, electronica band. Blank of blank. Well, their version of Peter Gunn is amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just so you know, it is absolutely amazing. Blank of blank. What in the world? I am
They're
terrible
from the South.
today.
The lead singer's name is Josh.
That's nice.
They recently just broke up, like about I think a year and a half, 2 years ago. I think they were signed to Razor and Tie. They were originally on Essential Records.
Tom, just tell me who it is. Tom, just tell me who it is. This is baffling me and annoying me. Nee.
And also, I was a little mean because this song does not say the name of the song in the chorus.
Night of Water.
I love the way Tom thinks. That's his hint. Night of Water, for those of you who are listening. The opposite of Night of Water.
PM Rain? I don't know.
The opposite of Night of Water.
Hint, Night of Water. Day of...
Is there a Christian band that begins with Day of?
Yes.
And what does water put out? Oh my goodness!
I'm so bad right now. My brain.
It sounds
is not
like this
working.
when there's a lot of it.
Day of Wind.
Do I have a plastic bag in here? I need to suffocate myself.
Day of Rain. Day of
hang
Oxygen.
On. Hold that thought. Don't say anything else. I'm going to get something that will help you because my noise is not very good. Hang on a sec. I'm walking away from my microphone because I have to grab something.
Okay. Day of Fire.
Okay, I'm back.
Day of Fire.
I'm back. You didn't guess it, did you?
Day of Fire.
Yes.
Nice plastic bag. Oh my goodness. Day of Fire.
Yes.
Okay, so about the only song that I really, really knew is the Dark Hills.
Oh, okay.
That was like the major,
Yeah.
Day of Wind is the day after Taco Bell. That's what Tom says. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That was...
Hey, stupid!
That's how I feel right now.
This does not look good for Homestar Vinyl.
No, or for Chris.
Or for Chris. That's, that's exactly right. Oh my goodness. Well, real quick, we got a new review up on iTunes. So to this person here, if I can get to the reviews now. Where? Oh, there we go. Let me scroll down here. This is STL Comic Geek, St. Louis Comic Geek. Let me expand this here. It says you're your only Christian rock podcast. His words are, actually, it's pretty much the only Christian rock podcast. Great show. Love the news, the insightful commentary from Christian rock vets. It's great to hear about bands I long forgot about and bands I never knew existed. Would love to hear more music on the show, but probably because I would kill for a Christian rock station in St. Louis. They just don't exist in the Midwest.
Although, strangely enough, you guys are getting like a very, very hip, like Christian electronic and rap station out in St. Louis.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that ought to be interesting.
Yeah.
So, I will just say this to St. Louis Comic Geek. Broken FM has an app. You can stream us anytime you want. We play 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
That's right. Go for it.
Batteries sold separately.
Micro machines.
Yes. So thank you, St. Louis Comic Geek, for that comment. We greatly appreciate it. If you have time, pop into iTunes, write us a review. We'll read it on the air. Good or bad, doesn't matter. So far, that's review number 18 or something like that, and we've still got 5 stars all the way across. So
I know. I think we're living on borrowed time on that somehow.
By the way, Alyssa said she was the one who wrote the review that we read last week.
Oh, nice.
She's the animal lover, doggy lover, or something. See, I'm not looking at it right now. It was her name. It was Doggy Lover 80. There you go. All right. Well, Alyssa, thank you for that kind review. We greatly appreciate it.
Yes, you're awesome.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna go check out your band and see what I think. I probably won't tell you what I think, but I'll at least check it out. So
honesty, it's a double-edged sword. There,
it is. It really is. It can be good and bad. But no, I'll seriously, I'll check out your band and see what you guys sound like. So that'll be cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're about ready to be done now.
Yes.
And thanks for listening.
We love you, dudes. And gals.
If you want to contact us, you certainly can. You can check out our website at rockandahardplacepodcast.com. You can hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/rockandahardplacepodcast. If you go to the website, you can check out all the different places that the podcast is posted. So it's got the iTunes link, it's got a Blueberry link, it's got a Stitcher link. Even on the BlackBerry devices, you can listen to us if you still own a BlackBerry, although I'm not sure why you would. But that's a whole conversation for a different type of show. Oh, Alyssa said, cool. That's honest, at least. Yeah. So, yeah, loads of ways to get a hold of us or to listen to the show. We're also on YouTube. If you want to check out what goes on during the live stream, you can watch us on YouTube. So we're greatly appreciative for all of our fans. And we wish everyone the best. I guess all that's left to say for me right now is that I'm Chris Cooner.
I'm Paul Gibson.
We'll see you next week. Or at least Paul will.
Yeah.
Hopefully.